we're about to go somewhere odd now. Times to rise and elevation starts to drop down. Our little secret, don't kiss and tell, you're so bad. I'll probably see you in hell. Welcome to hell, baby. This is podcast hell.
I was talking to my coworker the other day. We were going up a hill at work, and I was talking, and we get to the top of the hill, and he's older than me, by the way. Like he's older by like 10, 12 years. And he goes, "You all right?" And I go, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "You're out of breath from walking up that hill." And I tried to defend it. I was like, "Well, I was talking while I was walking up the hill." And he's a guy, yeah, like I said, like he's like 10, 12 years older. He like races BMX bikes. Like he's like, he's got the stamina. And was just looking at me like, you fat ass. Like,
bro, it's so humiliating. Like I was like cuddling my wife in bed, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, what do you mean? She's like, "You're wheezing." I'm like, oh my God.
That's real sexy.
I got a fat guy wheeze when I go to bed? That's horrifying.
That's exactly when you want to find out about it too, when you're trying to be romantic with your partner. It's just like, okay, could you just let me move my gut and you could get in here.
My poor wife, what has she done to deserve my wheezing breath in her ear? It's just not right.
It's probably all that financial security.
Dude, lately I've been doing okay.
I wasn't making fun of you.
No. I took it as I was like, here, I've because for many years, this is what I know it's real love, because she married me when I was really a pretty big failure in any measurable.
That's love.
Yes,
that's love.
So I know that our love is real.
Good.
You know, she didn't marry me.
She didn't marry you for the money. She didn't marry you for the Ducati collection.
I don't know how to ride motorcycles, so I wouldn't know what to do with it.
I wouldn't even attempt it. They terrify me.
Yeah, every time I see somebody riding on one, I go, "Careful, be careful out there."
Whenever I see someone like without a helmet on and just like one handing it, just like riding on like the Beltway, going like 90 miles an hour, I'm just like, you and I have very different goals in life.
What about the one times where they make the fast turns and they're like almost parallel to the ground?
Yeah, where they like literally like their knees are just dragging. Like, man, I don't understand that. I get annoyed when my air conditioning isn't working exactly the way that I like in my car. And these guys are just whipping around on curves and highways and being cool, I guess is what it is.
It is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know two people that ride motorcycles. Well, that's not true. A couple of my uncles do. It's all people here.
Yeah.
So it's like my stepdad, my brother, two of my uncles, and then one of my cousins ride. And they've all crashed.
Well, that's the thing they say. It's not if you crash, it's when you crash.
When you crash, do you die?
Yeah.
Are you lucky enough to not die? And luckily nobody's died from it yet. But they've all had like been fucked up, and one guy had surgery, and that
was my uncle. He got like his like midlife crisis was a motorcycle, and he lived out in Long Island, and like joined like a gang. it was fellow older men who had motorcycles, and they would go cruising on like weekends and stuff. And he had to put his bike down, and he had to do the skin grafts, had shoulder surgery, and he got rid of it because he was just like, I almost died.
And when you're saying he had to put the bike down, you mean like he was in a position where it was like, put the bike down or kill a busload of kids? Or
either that or crash like head first into something. Like I don't know the exact details of what happened, but like he literally like said that like it was put the bike down or the other's option was certain death.
Yeah.
So it was just put it down, and then I think he just rolled. Like, in other words, like he wasn't hit. Like it wasn't like it was just like he had to do that.
It is. Look, obviously, like we're too cowardly to ever pick this up. But when you just said now he had to put the bike down, I felt movement. It's like, it's fucking cool. It sounds cool.
It is.
It is cool to say I had to put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fucking
like
amazing.
An animal that you love. I had to put it down.
I had to lay her down. Dude, yes. Yes.
But I'm still here today.
It makes me feel like more of a man to just be in here.
It does.
With no intention of ever hopping on one of these hogs.
Yeah. Like maybe just like pick up like a tool at some point and just
like a wrench and just hit this until it falls off.
Just loosen something and then tighten it right back up and be like, yeah, that's better now. That'll do it.
She's road ready now.
She's ready to take her out. I'm gonna go back to my Xbox.
If you had to pick like the moment in your life where you think you were objectively looked the coolest, what do you think it is?
It's got to be whenever I'm doing comedy.
Stand up. I was gonna say like that's by far.
And it's so funny because you feel cool when like you're getting a good response and you're doing stuff, but like when you are just talking about details, they're like intimate details of your life for the amusement of other people. You don't inherently feel cool necessarily in the moment, and then when you start getting laughter. And then they're like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty cool. And then when you get off, it's just like, so you guys thought I was cool, right? Like everybody, you guys like me.
You say that into the microphone?
I don't say it in the microphone. I just say it like in my head, and then wait to see if anybody wants to come tell it to me. Then that's what I'll take. But yeah, that would be the probably only time in my life where I have felt cool is doing that.
Yeah, I had So this is like very early into stand-up. We were driving across the country to L.A., and I was like, I'm going to do an open mic, and we were in Nashville, and I just found something online and went. And if you anywhere other than New York or L.A., you go to open mics, and there's people like watching the show. It's fucking – I know you're used to it because you do stuff here in D.C., but like for me, it's fucking insane every time there's audience for an open mic.
Right.
And we go to Nashville, and it was like – they had like a ground floor and then like a mezzanine. There's like 100 people there for this open mic, and I'm watching people go up and bomb on the mic in front of 100 people who are being like very polite. I'm like, holy
Midwest,
shit, this is crazy. And then when I put my name up, or I'd gone up, and he was like, I don't recognize you. I was like, yeah, I'm from New York. And he goes, oh, we'll put you last. I was like, okay. So it's, whatever.
New York City.
A New York City boy. Let's see what he's got. No, so like I go up. It's a fine mic. The crowd is being so fucking nice. It was 10 minutes. And it's the only time this has ever happened. And it will never happen again. I'm doing 10 minutes. I'm fucking annihilating. I was maybe 2 years into stand-up. I was not a good stand-up. But compared to these other shitty comics,
you were a New York City comic.
I was like light years ahead. And the guy in the back goes, keep going. Keep going. More. I'm like, this is an open mic, and he's telling me to keep going. So my wife was recording it. I ended up doing like 22 minutes. Wow. I didn't have 22 minutes. I don't even know what I was saying.
You just started going.
But at the end, I go, all right, guys, they gotta, I'm really out of time. I can't go any longer. And I got like this crazy applause.
That's awesome.
And I was like, and my wife was there, and she had unfortunately come to mics in New York where I was just getting fucking destroyed.
Nothing. Yeah.
And not even destroyed. Like, I do so bad that the comic comes up after me to comment on how bad I was.
That's what you always try to avoid.
And if you ask her about it, she'll be like, yeah, that was pretty fucking cool to see you crush like that. And by the way, I have not had that experience. I've done stand-up for like 8 years after that. Never come close.
You've still been chasing that high from that Nashville random open mic.
Well, it makes me optimistic. Like, we're moving back here in fall next year. And it makes me optimistic to be like, I think I'll do better in a smaller market.
It's one of those things that I will say, and I know you're I mean, do you mean like literally here? Like
we're like Rockville. I think we're going to move back to Rockville.
All right. So Washington Metro area.
Yeah. I
will say DC definitely has a pretty cool comedy scene. I started basically in college, like because I went to college in DC, and I stopped. And then I started again, and then I stopped. Like I literally picked it up and put it down, like for years at a time, like whatever. And some of that was at the beginning, because it was such. And I know you hear that like everywhere else. It's like such a weird, insular, incestuous scene when it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
and I guess I wasn't part of it 20 years ago, but 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was very much like who you know. And I know that's everywhere they say, but it's just like, anyway, the whole point is that now I will say it has gotten very different. It is a very cool, supportive place for new comics and very, supportive of people who've been doing this for a while. And I like it a lot better now. Like, this is the longest that I've done it now continuously. I think it's been, it's always tough with COVID because I didn't do anything during then. So otherwise I'd say it's been 6 years, but 1.5 of that was nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a really cool scene in that sense. And, I don't know. I dig it. I think you'll, have fun and, do well. What's bringing you out this way?
Just fucking hate California. I hate it.
Fair enough.
It's just the worst.
That's
here's the thing. Like, we have great friends out there.
Yeah.
So the friends are great, and we've built a life for ourselves. But it's we moved out there for industry stuff, which happened for a little bit, and then COVID, and then the strikes, and now there's like no jobs, and even if you do get a job, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna write on a TV show. Oh my God. Oh, I can work from home. Oh, it's $3,000 total. So I'm going to make $3,000 this year. Okay. Well, time to get another job, another career. And I'm alone on every holiday. Me and my wife just sitting in our house.
Tell me more.
It's like.
And earthquakes, man.
Dude, it is. It's a real thing. Like, almost, I would say half the people that when I moved out to LA are no longer there. And the ones that are there are people who like it. Like, they actually like the food and the being close to the beach and the weather. But like, for us, we're just like, I think we're just East Coast people. Like, me and my wife met in New York. I lived in New York for 11 years. That's much more my speed.
I'm definitely an East Coaster.
Yeah, it's fun to go out there.
Oh, yeah.
If you go out and visit, you're this is great.
Yeah, I love warm weather in that sense. But then, everything that I've heard. Now, I've done no attempts at doing anything industry-wise out there.
Yeah.
So that's I don't have any of that experience at all. But literally just going out there, it seems nice.
This is your industry experience right here.
It's
me putting the camera on a fucking stand and praying it doesn't don't stomp your feet too hard. It's the professional setup right here.
But with a very professional backdrop. I mean, this is...
It's professional as fuck, dude.
It looks like...
This shit looks way cooler.
I've seen clips from, like, motorcycle shows that don't have as cool of backgrounds as this. Like, it looks like we should be talking about the difference between Ducati and I'm looking around at
Buell?
Right.
Buell? Is it? I don't even know how to pronounce it. Harley Davidson, I know that.
That's... Yeah, Buell.
Buell.
Powered by Harley Davidson.
Triumph.
I recognize some of these words.
I like all the fucking old-ass, like, pennants.
Those are cool.
Around. Yeah.
Especially if they are, like, original and not recreations.
I think they're probably original.
They look like they are, just considering how aged they look. That's cool.
How do you feel about Redskins? Should it come back?
I mean, I'm not a Washington football team fan. You talk about just the name?
The name.
So here's the thing. Because I'm not a fan, I just want the fans to be miserable. So, no, I don't. I don't want that for them. Like, I don't want them to have that.
Are you like a New York fan?
I'm a Giants fan.
I remembered that from our last.
Yeah, which is, unfortunate.
I mean,
I have no place to talk shit, but...
Can I thank you, by the way?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for Saquon, man.
Welcome. That was one of the funniest things.
Sickest.
After that game, when the crowd is literally chanting, "Thank you, Giants!" It just was like, oh God, that hurt. Like, but I get it. I mean, when it happened, it was just like, wow, we really are just somebody is trying to just go scorched earth in this organization. But whatever.
I'm pumped for. I like Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah,
it's fun. That's a fun thing.
It's a fun. That's all we got. That's all we got is fun things.
My buddy's a Giants fan. He sent me a video where, like, I guess it was maybe his second start last year or something, and it was like the people in the local town where Tommy, what's his actual name?
DeVito.
DeVito, where Tommy DeVito grew up, are very excited that he's finally getting his shot. And it's like in a local bar, and it's just like a guy going like, yeah, I know Tommy Cutlets. I used to babysit him when he was a kid. Yeah, he's on the Giants. And then it cuts away. Like, he didn't say anything.
He just confirmed facts. Listen, I'm just here to confirm the facts. I'm not giving any opinion. This is very unbiased media reporting.
Some of those local news segments are hilarious in how, like, I love the earnestness of it.
Oh, it's great.
But it's like, it is literally like it just getting somebody on camera to say like 2 sentences. It does not matter if they are moving the story forward at all. It's amazing.
My sister, she lived in Philly for a little while, and right around the corner from Eastern State Penitentiary. Like, literally, you walked around the corner, and there was that giant wall. Like, it was, it was creepy. Like, it was just like, oh, shit, it was kind of cool. Anyway, somebody was murdered on her street.
From the prison?
No. Just random murder, not related to the prison. Just random.
Very convenient for the sentencing. You just literally like...
Right. Well, you know it's abandoned. I mean, it's not like an active prison anymore. So, and not only that, it was super creepy that like whoever was murdered or whatever, somebody then took like closet doors and built a coffin for them, to like hide, but the body was just right there. Like, if you looked in the living room window, you could see it. Anyway, my sister and her roommate were on the news. They were one of those people that was just like, going around to the neighbors being like, do you have a comment on what happened? And her roommate just goes, it's like Silence of the Lambs out here. And that was all the clip that they used. Was just like, what does it have to do with anything? But my sister's friend Megan is just on it's like Silence of the Lambs out here.
That was fucking crazy.
And it's like a man has died. But, you know.
Wait, so it was a murder on your sister's street. Did they caught the guy?
I stopped following the story.
Does your sister know?
No, I have no idea. Probably not.
They must have.
I think it was like the guy knew the person. It wasn't like a random break-in murder. It was like they had a falling out and he murdered him and then tried to hide the body. And I think the plan was he was going to come back for it like at night and like try to whatever, but didn't. He was spotted before that happened. I think
you gotta eat the body. That really is the perfect. that is the perfect.
The perfect crime is leave no trace.
Is cannibalism.
Boy Scout rules: just leave no trace.
Speaking of cannibalism,
and be prepared.
Speaking of cannibalism,
Armie
Hammer's not a cannibal. You know Armie Hammer?
I know Armie Hammer. I'm
going to ask Armie Hammer to do my podcast.
He'd probably do it. What the hell else is he doing lately?
He lives in L.A. He has his own podcast now.
Doesn't he have like an island too? That he lives
No. He was in the Cayman Islands, but he couldn't get a job.
I mean, can you imagine that?
I'm like an Armie Hammer truther at this point. I'm like, let me tell you first off, this guy did not eat anybody.
But he didn't actually eat anybody. Like,
he definitely didn't eat anybody.
Like but he just like fantasized about it.
I think he was. This is what it is. He had so much sex that everything became boring besides talking about eating bitches.
I mean,
and I can fully understand that. I could fully understand.
I could see having that level because I mean, I remember when this all came out, learning that he is the Hammer in Armie Hammer.
He's not.
Well, not him, but like his family is. No,
it's a different thing.
Okay,
I thought that too, and somebody corrected me on the podcast.
I'm learning shit today.
But you're not learning anything because I don't remember what he actually is.
I'll Google it afterwards.
They are a famous family, and they do own something that we all know.
Right,
but it's not Armie Hammer.
Okay, all right.
But it's a different thing.
Okay.
That doesn't sound like Hammer.
He's not related to MC Hammer.
No. It's like Q-tips. It's not Q-tips, but it's something.
I do feel like it is like related to some sort of household item, right? Which is why maybe that's why, like you said, Q-tips. Like it's something that. Yeah. That's why you think Armie Hammer. You think the like baking soda, or it's baking soda, right?
Armie Hammer baking soda, yeah. It's not that, but it is a item that we would all go, oh, that.
Right.
Fuck, I wish. Here's the thing. I'm recording on my phone.
Right, and I don't want to be, I'm not going to be rude because
I have a pretty strong policy on the podcast that you just assert what you think is true.
Okay, that's
and then
so like any podcast.
And then like the 10 people that listen to this podcast, when I see them in person, they go, "Why the fuck did you say Armie Hammer runs Q-tips?" And I go, "Because I fucking felt like it was true in the moment that I was saying it."
Leave a comment.
Thank you. He's jumping what I was going to do. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're on Apple Podcast, you can leave a 5-star review. Let us know what Armie Hammer does. If you're on Spotify, 5 stars. That's very helpful.
Maybe one day that you could even like live stream this, and then you could have like the running tab of like people's comments going on.
Oh yeah, well if I ever like actually, if this thing ever took off, it's just funny to even pretend
it's
like that's gonna fucking happen. But if this thing ever took off and I had like a podcast producer. Hell yeah, we do that's the dream,
right?
It's like this is on tour,
right?
And I'm bringing my favorite guests, and we have a crowd, and we're fucking around.
Merch, and the favorite sayings that you,
like all the Hellwig heads out there. It's time to be a fan. I don't know.
You gotta work on your catchphrases.
Better be a fan is not good. I might even change the name of the podcast. Podcast Hell. It sounds like we're gonna be talking about like Catholic stuff, and we're not.
I don't know about that. I mean, we could.
We could. I mean,
just lose everybody.
You kept the Catholicness though.
I still consider myself Catholic, although many other Catholics would probably consider me not
a bad one.
Yeah. But
we called you cafeteria Catholics.
Cafeteria Catholics.
That's what we called you.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we went all the time.
Yeah, same with me.
And it was, I remember one time I was at church, and I hope I didn't say this last time you were doing the pod, but it was like a holiday mass. Those are always like packed out.
Yeah.
And the priest got up for the homily, and like there was like a 10-second pause. He was pissed that all these people don't come all year. And he was like, "There's a great stench of rotting souls."
I think
in this church.
Tell me this.
It just stuck with me. I think about it all the time.
And my thing that I look at that as, because I've heard other priests say similar things around the same time of year, that, well, you would understand too. As a person who you want people to come see you talk into a microphone, maybe don't fucking insult them and be like, "You people smell like sin." Like, if anything, do like, "Hey, thanks for coming. So glad you're here. We're here every week. It's a different show every week. Come on back. Tell your friends."
I've had that conversation. My family's wanted me to move back for a while to the East Coast.
Yeah.
Because even when I was in New York, they wanted me to move back, and then LA was even more. So like my sisters, I would come home and they'd be like mad at me. They'd be like, "When are you gonna fucking come home? Come on. What are you doing?" We get in fights about it. And my brother would be like, "Hey, we made the bed for you upstairs, and let's go get lunch tomorrow. It's on me." I'd be like, "Why can't you do what my brother's doing?"
Yeah, like,
my brother has it right. My brother makes it nice,
figuring it out,
easy.
Rather than the guilt thing is not going to work.
It never works.
No,
except for masturbation. That did work for a little bit.
I mean, if that's your kink, then that's going to work better than people even intended to.
That's why I'm okay with Armie Hammer. I'm like,
look, I get it, man. Sometimes
I understand
the old stuff just isn't doing it for you anymore.
I understand.
You gotta
spice it up a little bit.
You got to find something new. I don't think he ate. Going back to that, I don't think he actually ate anybody.
Getting back to the real issue,
Armie Hammer. Should we let him have a career again? Yes or no? I say yes.
I think he'd make a great Batman.
I mean, he'd definitely make a great Batman villain.
Yeah, was there a villain that like? Nah, no. All the Batman villains, they're too like jokey.
I don't know. In the comics. Because you're kind of a little bit of a comic book nerd.
A little bit,
yeah. I mean, there's definitely been some or even like I even know from like the I don't know if you played any like the Arkham games or anything, the video games. Some of those people were pretty dark. Like there was the one guy who like cut people up and like put them back together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like Armie could do that.
There are like the random Batman iteration where Batman's like a murderer and he just kills people, and it's completely like that whole like they need to be in front of a judge, like that's gone, and he's like a full on.
It's just full on psychopath, and
it's not. It's always like fun for a minute, and then you're like, it's not Batman.
Right. It's like you can't make him the Punisher. Like that's
yeah, exactly. Or imagine a Punisher version that was like, he needs to be in front of a judge. You're like, no,
he needs to have his day in court.
He needs, it's like, let the guy be the guy.
I believe in the judicial system.
Dude, I did a video for, I think it was like UCB a million years ago, where it was like a debate between Republican Batman and Democrat Batman. And I was libertarian Batman. That was the joke at the end. And I was like, it's so obvious he's a Republican. He puts a mask on and goes around beating up like people stealing like bubble yum. He's clearly a fucking
he's a rich guy who goes into the city, beats the shit out of poor people who are just trying to survive.
Hell yeah,
breaks their legs.
Love it.
And then says, why don't you pull yourself up by your bootstraps?
I fucking love it.
Get a job.
Hardcore Repub Batman. I thought that was a slam dunk win. I didn't think that was debatable, but apparently it was.
I could see though the Democratic side of things too, though. That the people can't help themselves. They need some bigger entity to step in and do it for them. So here, let me control everything. You don't have a say in what's happening. We're just gonna take over.
It's like a federal. It's like the Department of Batman gets appointed.
It becomes federalized.
The DOB. DOB funds are going up this year.
As a Fed, I would transfer to that division.
Are you a Fed?
I am. Yeah.
What's your job?
I am an engineer for the Army.
Okay.
Yeah, DOD.
Is your job gonna go away or stay with what's coming up?
I think being DOD, people usually tend to leave them alone. I mean, if anything, that's the whole point, right? Like you got to support the troops, which means just give the Department of Defense a bunch of money and don't question them ever. So
should you be saying this into a microphone?
I mean, given the administration, probably not. But nobody watches this, so I'm fine.
That's right. You're so safe in here. Like you could literally.
No, I mean, look, they're gonna do something. Who knows? But people always like I've been a Fed since college, so like. It's one of those things that whenever any administration changes, like, oh, is the administration going to change? And it's like, it literally has never changed, like anything that I do. So
do you have like a security clearance?
Yeah.
Does it go up a little bit every year? How does that work?
No, I've stayed exactly where I am, secret level. I think I'm allowed to say that.
Your secret level?
Yeah.
So you know secrets?
I don't know any. I have been a part of one classified briefing in my 17-year career.
Has it remained classified?
Yeah, it's not that exciting. Okay. It's literally just was like the specifics of something.
You're not like the guy that's like jerking off the alien corpse and it comes and you go, it still works.
We still got him. Let's try to see what we can do with this batch.
He lives.
We're trying to clone him, right? Like that's why you guys are having me do this. Like we're trying to get their alien seed, guys. Please tell me I'm not just jerking off an alien. But no, nothing that cool. But
yeah,
it's a fun job, I guess.
My buddy sent me a meme yesterday. It was because there's been those UFOs or whatever, and he was like,
"You mean the drones?
The drones? Sorry,
yeah.
Well, are those still count as? Well, those are not UFOs because they're identified.
Right.
It's the drones.
Yeah.
And he goes. Hey man, I was at my girlfriend's place in Jersey. He has a girlfriend that lives her family's in Jersey. And he's like, look at this crazy shit above her house. And it's like a picture of the drone. He sent us the photo. And we zoomed in on it, and it's the meme of the dude with the black dude with a huge dick, like inside the drone. I was like, that's great. Nice work. And then I got 6 people at our family Christmas party yesterday to zoom in on it. And it got great reactions from everybody.
I love it.
Never
so
not funny.
No,
Make somebody zoom in on
a giant
Giant dick
black penis.
drone. Yeah, it was amazing.
That's what you want at a family Christmas party.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, you're not doing it right.
Where have you landed on Aliens?
So I remember we talked a little bit about this last time.
I got to talk about new topics. You bring up a topic. I'm like, this one time a priest said this. Aliens are fucking real. We can talk about anything.
We're just hitting the highlights.
Nah, you pick up a topic now. I feel bad.
No. I'm always good to talk about. I've brought up comic books and I guess that's all I brought up. But do you play video games?
I don't trust myself anymore.
You have like addiction?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So I when I played video games, I played like Madden and NBA 2K.
Okay.
And I would usually I just sound like a psychopath doing this. I would like wait until live games were happening, and then I would play the season so that I was playing the game that was happening on the TV, but I would turn off the volume on the game, on like the actual
real game,
and I would announce the game and try to recreate what was happening. It's a real.
I have a buddy who was my roommate in college who did that every time he got drunk to wrestling videos. Okay. He would do the commentary. That was like his thing. That it just is. Back when they came on like the best of like on DVDs, he'd get drunk, put on a DVD, and he would turn the sound off and just do the commentary for the wrestling match that he's seen a dozen times.
What you just described sounds like so much fucking fun. That sounds like that would be the best night I've had in 4 years. Get drunk. Throw on a DVD of a wrestling match I've watched 12 times and do the commentary. Were you watching?
So I remember one time in particular, the one that stands out the most was I played rugby in college. And so I had a match the next day. So I was trying to go to bed, actually. I was not drinking because I had to play the next day. And he was doing it to annoy me, was really what it was, because I was sober and trying to sleep and literally have like the blanket over my head. And this is in the dorm room. I mean, this is literally like, and he's just like, hey, do you mind if I do some commentary real quick? And then literally just started doing it. And then it ended, and at this point, he shout out to my buddy Chris Regal. I'll make him watch this. He got so drunk that then he started doing moves, like on his bed. So like he gets up on his college twin bed, like on the top of the bed frame or whatever, did a frog splash. And then, of course, he's like, oh, I'm really hurting. And, like, and then, like, stopped it. He's like, was I selling it? Was I selling it really well? And I was like, you're doing a great job there, buddy. And it just...
A frog splash. Was it a Guerrero match?
He was... Well, the matches he was watching was Ricky Steamboat matches. Like, so, like
those
from
are old.
Old school, yeah. And then I mean, he would, again, switch. He was a big wrestling fan, and he still is. I've actually gotten back into wrestling.
I have too.
Recently. We can talk about that next.
Yeah. We can.
Let's forget video games. But and then he got to the point where he just went into what I called like Ric Flair mode, where he just went woo, woo, like everything, and just wasn't saying words anymore and just wooing everything.
Dude, it is so. I don't really. I invited my friends over for the last pay-per-view, which now I can't remember what the name of it was. Backlash?
Saturday Night Main Event
Revenge?
was last night.
That wasn't that one. It was the one before that.
Elimination. No, not Elimination. Survivor Series. Survivor Series.
I invited friends over to watch Survivor Series, and I was like, let's see how this goes. I haven't done this for 20 years. And it was so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was how I got, so like 3 or 4 years, I guess it was 3 years ago. I got like a Peacock subscription.
Yeah.
And now WWE, all their premium, now they call them premium live events because they're not pay-per-view anymore, are on Peacock. And it was like the Royal Rumble, which was always like my favorite. Like, granted, as a kid, my parents never bought us any of the pay-per-views, except for 1 year for my brother's birthday. They got us like the Royal Rumble. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I, as like a bit, like was what it was. It was just like, it was whatever, because Royal Rumble is usually like in February. And I remember I was just like, I'm gonna watch the Royal, and I was gonna make my kids watch it too with me.
Yeah.
It's like, we're gonna watch the Royal Rumble, and the entire time they're just like, what the hell are we watching? And I was doing that thing of just like, I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah,
like, 'cause it's been forever since I'd watched, but like, even like the names, like I was like, where's John Cena? You know, like, that stuff. And he was, and anyway, so because then I'd watched this whole like 3-hour event and I didn't know who any of these people were, I had to, now I got to watch Raw on Monday night to figure out who these people were.
Yeah.
And it sucked me in. And then like, I've literally been watching like since of just, I got caught up in the storylines and everything. And
when I'm at work, I do I like have like YouTube on my phone while I'm calling, and if somebody picks up, I pause. So it's just YouTube videos are just rolling.
Yeah.
And it's, for whatever reason, wrestling, I watched enough stuff where it just got in the algorithm of YouTube knows, like, I will watch till the end. So yeah, I really don't watch it live, but I watch all the highlights of what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's enough. That's the little bit I need. I have to parcel it out too, because the second I put it on, like, my wife suffers from like Sahara pussy. Like, it is so not sexy to watch a man in his, I'm about to be 40, fucking watching wrestling. So I have to I kind of pick and choose my moments for it.
Yeah.
And it's unlike football where I've gotten her to get kind of into it. I will tell her, I'm like, I'm going to watch wrestling in the next 30 minutes. Don't come in the room. She's like,
don't look at me.
Don't look at, it's a shameful, she would rather walk in on me jerking off than walk in on me watching wrestling. I strongly believe that.
That's fair. I could say my wife the same thing. But I will say she does find some of the wrestlers attractive.
Oh, yeah.
So that helps a little bit. Like, basically, if LA Knight is on, I'll tell her, I was like, hey, LA Knight's in, and she's like, okay, I'll sit down and watch this one.
She's like, come check out LA Knight's pop. He has
literally.
LA Knight. That's so good.
I love it.
Then you're doing it right. There's no way to get my wife into it. She hates the fact that it's like, she can't tell, like, because it's like blending realities sometimes of like, what's the real rivalry here? But some of it's true, some of it's not.
But if you've been a fan of any sort of a reality show over the last 20 years, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all scripted, but they use real issues. I mean, all of like the housewives or whatever, it's the same thing. And they also flip tables. So, I mean, it's, that's the way I liken it. Because quite frankly, there's very often, because I do the same thing a lot. Like, if I am watching it, like, say it's Monday Night Raw or whatever, I won't turn it on until like 9 o'clock, and then I'll just fast forward through a lot of it. Because quite frankly, sometimes even the matches are sometimes the most boring part.
Yeah, who cares?
I get caught up in the drama and the storylines and whatever. I mean, if it's a good match, I watch it. But if it's like a couple of wrestlers that I don't care about, it's like, okay, we'll fast forward.
We call them mid-carders.
Mid-carders, right, exactly. So,
you're mavens.
I like Maven, though.
Everybody loves Maven.
I mean, like, and I don't know if you watch his YouTube.
I do watch his YouTube.
Yeah, it's like he does such a good job of just like laying everything out there. I love him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I've my kids will sometimes watch with me. If anything, they're just like, yeah, I don't understand what's going on. And then,
how old are the kids now?
My son is 13. My daughter is about to be 12.
Okay.
So
you got like 6 more years, then you can fully do comedy.
Right. That's kind of that is kind of what I am looking at. Like, I kind of have slowed down the last couple months, and it's mostly just to like spend time at home with the kids, because they are still at the age where they actually do want to do stuff with you.
Yeah.
And I know we are rapidly approaching where that is not going to be the case anymore. So I figured enjoy it now while I can, and then once they are, doing their own thing, it's like then that's where it's like I'll go out, and then even my wife will sometimes come with me now too. Like, she used to never, because she'd have to stay home with the kids, but every now and then it's just like, oh yeah, I got nothing going on, I'll come.
Have your kids ever seen you do stand up?
No.
And you don't want them to?
Not really. No. I put it this way. They've seen me perform, but not what I would consider stand up. Like, I have had to MC some things where I get a little stand-up-y in it. I've told jokes, like, stuff even at their school or at like family stuff, quite frankly. So they've seen me do that.
Yeah.
But I've told them some of my more cleaner jokes, which aren't too many of them. But and I think my son did, even though he's not on Instagram, I think he did find my Instagram, and somehow I think he was on my wife's phone and went in and saw some of my clips, and I don't know what exactly he saw, but he did insinuate that he'd seen something, and I was just like, stay off your mother's Instagram. But I mean,
that'll be wild that one day you could be at a show and you look out and you see human beings you created taking in your comedy.
Yeah. And there is part of me, because I do have comedian friends who have kids who are older and like whatever, and they've kind of said the same thing. It's like, look, there are very few things that they think that I do is cool. So if they think that this is cool, I'm going to let them in on it. And like, oh, that's fair. And my thing is that, like, I don't know if they would think it's cool, you know?
Yeah.
Like, my daughter especially. My daughter is cool, and that she doesn't care about like anything, and I love her for that. And then my son is cool, and that he is like his mother. He's a little bit of a people pleaser. Like he wants, and he does it very well. Like everybody likes him. Like he is very much just that. Like he is charming and cool and all of that stuff. So like he wants that. I think like he wants to be like he thinks that he wants to be like me in that sense. But he's not as funny.
Oh no!
My daughter is hilarious
and doesn't want to do it,
and she has getting up in front of people is absolutely not something she wants to do. My son's the president of his school. I mean, it's 8th grade, but I mean, like so he gets up in front of people and does that. He loves and again, he always does a great job just getting up in front of people and talking. And if anything, I hope he doesn't become a politician. But
he's on the path.
He's on either that or just being a really good salesman. Yeah. But yeah, it's. I mean, he could get there someday. But my daughter is naturally like she's got the timing, she's got the quips. Like it's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
they're better off not doing comedy.
I agree.
You know that, right?
I agree fully.
I don't have kids, but I know that if I do, I will encourage them to do anything other
else.
than what
do a nice,
I'm
safe
doing.
job, like motorcycle rider.
Yeah, motorcycle repair.
Motorcycle repair actually would be pretty legit.
Actually, I think especially like with AI, like stuff where you got to do with your hands, it's going to be hard to automate.
Yeah,
like those types of like like highly skilled manual jobs are going to be very valuable.
My brother-in-law is an electrician and didn't go to college, like whatever. But that dude he does very well for himself. He takes good care of my sister and everything. And he's like the coolest dude. Like he just knows how to do stuff.
Yeah.
And it just like I got such and even in my field, like I work with a lot of like welders and sheet metal technicians and machinists and all this stuff. Like guys who just like they just had to learn how to do something with their hands. And they're the coolest people ever. And again, they take pride in their work and all that stuff. And they just know how to like do everything.
Dude, that was my dad's dad. My grandfather was like, he was a machinist for 50 years in Philly. And he was like farm strong.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like, I remember he used to do this thing where he'd be like, Eric, let's arm wrestle. I'd be like, great. And he would grab my hand and his grip, I swear to God, dude, it was like a vice. And he would just start squeezing my hand, and we would never arm wrestle.
Because that would be it.
Yeah, and he would just be smiling. I'd be like, I give up, Grandpa. I'm 8.
And he'd be like, this isn't even a quarter of my strength.
Dude, he was
okay.
I remember he wanted to arm wrestle my brother, who was like an athlete in college. And at this point, my grandfather's like almost 80, and he had just had skin cancer. Like a part of his forearm was taken out. He had a big bandage on it, and he was like, "Let's go." Easily beat my brother at 80. Fucking cancer arm.
Yeah,
like you don't fuck with farm strong, man. That's
and especially just old people in general. Like they coming from like the more generations go on, we definitely get softer. Like older generations, like they literally had to survive. Like that was what it was.
Dude. Yes. My grandfather was in World War II and got like blown up. He got blown up.
And then just picked himself up and went back to work. My grandfather was a garbage man in New York City. That was his. He was in Korea. He fought in Korea. And then he was a garbage man in New York City and eventually worked his way up to deputy commissioner of sanitation for New York City.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay. Yeah.
Dude knew people. Like
Sure.
it was one of those things where like it was the highest non-appointed position in the Department of Sanitation for New York. And it was cool, like going through his stuff, like, cause like I found like he would get all the whenever they had like ticker tape parades and stuff like that, he would get all like the plans for it and all that. So I went through like his stuff one time. Anyway, yeah, same thing. It's like that dude, I mean, like he started literally like hauling trash cans, like street sweeping, like shoveling snow. It's like that dude was even in his old age, he died a couple years ago, but like was still just like he could kick my ass, like no problem. Like
he could kick your ass, and he knew how to play the politics of taking out the trash.
Exactly.
Who knew, man?
He knew where the bodies are buried. I know that. Like it was one of those things. One time we joked about just like where Jimmy Hoffa was buried, and he was just like
he gave you the coordinates.
Yeah, no, he literally was just like, we don't joke about that. Because that's a real thing. And I was like, wait, I couldn't tell if he was serious.
Was he really in the Meadowlands or no?
That was what he implied to me.
That he was really where they built the stadium.
That he really was like that like he told me one time, it's like, that's why no one really thinks it's real, because it sounds so much like a joke that it's whatever, but it's like, but it's real. And I still don't know if he was just fucking with me.
That's crazy.
But I loved it, and I didn't want to find out. I was just like, I'm gonna act like podcast rules. It's real. That's
it's
what
fucking
happened.
real. Also, like, I'm not a big like what happens with the body matters after you've been murdered.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, I know people care about that a lot. They're like, that body belongs in a box. Oh. It belongs in a museum. No, like, people are like, I think it's like, it kind of dates back to, like when pharaohs would die, you put a coin in their eyes or something to pay the death guy. But like, for me, I'm like, once I'm dead, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, me personally, yeah. When I am dead, I don't care what it's more for the people being left behind. I just figured in the case of like murders, it was more like to try to figure out what happened.
Like who did it to them?
Like who did it, how they were, one, to confirm that they actually were murdered and didn't just run off to, Mexico or something. But yeah, in terms of me personally, I don't. I've already told my wife, it's like, do whatever is cheapest and is not going to, upset anyone, basically.
I'm claustrophobic, so I don't want to be in a box.
I'm claustrophobic.
I can't even picture my skeleton in a box. Like, I'll have nightmares about it.
See, I'm not that, because I'm just like, I'm dead. I don't care.
I'm like, burn me.
Yeah.
But do it quick and make sure I'm dead before I'm burned.
Have you ever had to get a CAT scan?
Can't. There's standing CAT scans.
So is it,
and I would travel
to go
states
do that
to go do a standing CAT scan.
Yeah.
This thing I can't.
Yeah. I've never had to do. That's the one where like you go in like the tube, right?
You're talking. Yeah, the CAT scans where you lay down and they like.
You just you go in that little.
You're a baking sheet. They push you in.
Yeah. I've never had to do that. I've gotten, I forget what, some other, I guess just an MRI, which is different. But CAT scan never had to do that. But that is something that I feel like I would do the same thing. That I was just like, I'm gonna have to do whatever option I can that allows me to not be put in a little box and told not to move for like an hour. Like
with a thing right here. Yeah, I can't even. The only way I could do it is if like a very strong man that I trusted stood with his hand on my foot, so that there's like a solar flare, the doctor has a heart attack, they could just go and pull me out.
Maybe Armie Hammer would do that.
That's what I'm hoping. He is a strong guy.
He's a buff dude. That's
the worst part about if I do have him on the pod is that I'm gonna be next to him.
And then just like so what's it like being good looking and rich
and ruined?
But what's worse, being ruined or not having anything? Probably ruined, because at least we can only imagine, like it's still possible for us, but once you're ruined, you're ruined.
It's also, you get to be, I think there's probably, if you don't kill yourself in a situation like that, it becomes funny.
It has to.
It has to become funny. I actually do watch Armie Hammer's podcast. I really do like the guy, and he seems to have a sense of humor about it.
I feel like you have to.
If somebody's,
you have to.
Here's the thing about getting accused of being a cannibal. Here's the thing: there's only really two options if someone calls you a cannibal. One option is that they're lying and you're not a cannibal. And the other option is that you fucking eat people.
So,
like either one of those.
Right.
It's like, it's such an extreme thing to say about somebody.
Yeah.
That you're like, okay, we actually have to get to this one. We can't just say, hey, he said, she said that he's a cannibal. No. I need to know if you're a cannibal or not.
That's going to be something I'm going to want some data on.
I would like to, if you are a cannibal, I'd like to catch you.
I'm gonna literally need to catch you red-handed. You're gonna fork and knife in your hand, because I would imagine I just picture Hannibal Lecter, that it's like he wouldn't just like gnaw on a leg or anything. Like he's gonna have like something prepared.
Did you ever see the second one where he feeds Ray Liotta's brain to him while he's alive?
Yeah. Ugh. That was pretty dark.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Was that what you were gonna say?
I was gonna say it was pretty dark.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I hate it. A lot of people think that betrayed. To go back to Silence of the Lambs, your Megan, your sister's friend. A lot of people think that Hannibal, the movie, betrayed Silence of the Lambs. I don't know how I feel because I don't really remember the movie.
I don't really remember it. And then I think I get it confused. There was also like Red Dragon too, that was like
it's like
prequel.
A prequel.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think more.
Red Dragon's scary, dude.
There was wasn't there a scene where like the person in a wheelchair gets like glued to the chair, then like set on fire and just like rolled down the hall?
Yeah, it's Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Right.
He glues him to the chair. He bites his lips off.
Right.
He lights him on fire and he pushes him down the
right. Yeah,
like one of those hills in San Francisco.
Right. And I remember like I know this isn't supposed to be funny, but I can't.
It's a little funny.
Like it's a person in a wheelchair on fire, lips bitten off, just rolling. Like it's
sure.
Funny. That was like the one of the few times I've seen The Exorcist. I saw it at Georgetown University on Halloween.
Oh, okay.
And so it's like, they're like, where it happened.
The stairs. Yeah.
But when you watch it with a bunch of drunk college kids who are very excited to see their school represented, it changes the whole tone of the movie. Because like anytime they showed any sort of like, scenery shot and the everyone just be, whoa, Georgetown, like Hoya Saxa. And then, of course, and then all of the crazy shit, which again, everybody know, like people would be like cheering when she's like puking up the green stuff and head spinning around and everything. Like it was like, okay, this definitely changes the whole tone of the movie.
Yeah, but it's that movie I thought held up. Like it doesn't look great.
Yeah,
in a lot of those scenes.
Yeah,
but you're still like it's still scary.
It's unsettling.
But that's how you get over the scariness.
Yeah.
You watch it with a bunch of drunk people who think it's funny.
You just laugh when you're not supposed to.
It's hard I think most things are funny. If you really can step out of your own feelings on them, most things are pretty, if they were happening to somebody else.
Well, and the other thing to bring it back, to keep bringing it back to Armie Hammer, because that should just be the title of this episode is "We Love You, Armie Hammer." But like you were talking about, like if you when you're that successful, when you're that rich, when you have hot women throwing at you, you got to find new ways to spice it up. Sometimes I think if you are a comedian, it's the same thing. Like you get into the weirder, like sometimes darker, but sometimes just like more batshit crazy stuff is what you personally find funny.
Yeah.
And I definitely know that about myself, that it's just like I find like humor in not necessarily dark stuff, but like not purposely. Like I don't like watch horror movies and just laugh at them like a sociopath. Yeah. But there are times where just like when something is so off the wall or so out of the blue, it's funny. Like it's just like that's funny. And sometimes I've heard that said that's also a sign you have ADHD. It's like, yeah,
that's fine.
Sign me up for that too. I would also put me down in that category.
I got diagnosed with that.
Yeah, like officially.
Yeah, but I don't do anything about it. I mean, I just know I have it.
I talked to my therapist about it. I was like, I think I might have ADHD, and she was like, okay, well, if you get diagnosed, what are you going to do with that information? I was like, I don't know. And she was like, right. So
yeah,
just live your life.
What I got was like my wife showed me these like videos on YouTube. They're like 4 hours long, and it's like the sounds of people working, and like very like light music behind it. And if I put that on YouTube, I'll have like a productive 4 hours at work.
Really?
And then the thing is like I'm not looking at my phone when it's on, so it'll play for hours.
Okay.
And then at some point, it'll flip off, and the algorithm it'll be like X-Pac's greatest matches, and then I don't get any work done for 4 hours.
Because I'm not gonna not watch Xbox greatest matches. Come on,
He's got some great ones.
talk about being productive.
There's like things you can do to like help focus up on stuff.
I do like trance music. Like and like any like EDM, like where it's just like, but it's just very long and repetitive. And I guess it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
but just like when it's just like, but like for like hours, like just going on like whatever, like that's what I need to kind of tune out the other thoughts in my head.
You're like,
so
I also take ecstasy.
Well, that certainly helps. Just like, not with my work, but I've gotten really good at dancing. That's really where I'm at now. Just a really great dancer.
Yeah. I am always, I want to know the secret. I know you can't tell me.
To what?
To the secret meeting.
Oh, going back to that.
Don't tell me.
I'm not going to.
But it's like, I'm so bad at keeping secrets. I could never be in the federal government.
I thought the same thing too. But it's not like gonna be like, you want to know who really killed JFK? Like, it's not like any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just like, and there are people that I know who probably have really cool, juicy secrets that they are aware of.
Yeah.
But it's really just like, specific details about stuff.
My thing would always be like, when like, you remember 9/11? 9/11. The tragedy?
That doesn't.
Okay, let me walk you through it.
You said you'd never forget.
Yeah. So, like, people think that was a controlled explosion. And in my head, I go, the amount of people that would have to know.
Right.
And not tell anybody.
Right.
Because for me, the hardest thing in the world is, like, I have a secret.
Right.
And I'm not supposed to tell anyone.
Yeah.
I'm like, all I fucking think about is the moment I can tell someone.
Oh yeah, no, in like my personal life with like stuff, that's exactly like if I learn something like say about like a friend, it's like especially like, I mean, you're married. I'm sure it's like the same thing. It's like, I'm gonna tell my wife so hard when I see her. Like, it's like, you can't tell anybody. It's like, oh no, I'm definitely not gonna tell anybody. It's like, no, you can't even tell Annie. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll try not to. Like, it's just like, I'm definitely I'm telling my wife. Like, that's just, she can keep a secret. She's very good about it. But
and when you get older, that you fantasize about telling your wife hard secrets.
Oh man,
you're not even like, I'm gonna fuck this shit. You're like, I'm gonna gossip,
tell her stuff that's gonna blow her mind. If something's getting blown, it's gonna be her mind. That's what it is.
That's what's getting blown.
That's what's getting blown around here. Minds.
That's hilarious. How long have you been married for?
It will be it's been 15 years. So it'll be 16 years, January 2nd.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You guys met in college.
We met in college. We got married as babies, and because we didn't know any better. I mean, it's worked out. Like, it's worked
That's
out.
good.
But like, it's one of those stupid things that like people were just like, oh wow, you guys are really young, and we're just like, what are you talking about? Like, we're like adults, and then now that I'm more of an adult, it's like, oh shit, we were.
If your kids were getting married at 22, 23 years old, your advice would be,
I would hope that it is funny, right? Because I've thought about that it's just like, how much do you really even know this person?
Yeah.
I will say her parents definitely felt that about me at the time, and I don't blame them. And I love my in-laws, and they love me very much. We're all big fans. But like at the time, I think they were literally just like, are you sure you just don't want to wait? They actually did make us wait for we were engaged for like 2 years. Which again, at the time seemed like forever. And now I was like, that's friggin' nothing. But they made us wait for 2 years because we got engaged like during college. Like it was like my senior year. And part of that was because she lived in Connecticut and I lived down here, and I felt like that was gonna one, I wanted to, but two, it was just like I knew that she was the one I wanted to spend my life with, whatever. But also it was just like I gotta do this now because if she goes back home to Connecticut, then all bets are off as to how well that relates.
Meet one of the Yukon Husky,
right? No,
NBA,
literally,
you know.
that she would. She met LA Knight. I mean, I don't know what he's doing in Connecticut, but he's from Hagerstown, so.
You can't let LA Knight weasel his way in, all right?
Don't let LA Knight steal your girl. That's all I'm saying. Just...
Yeah, I got married. We've been married for 2019, so 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I was not young. I was 34, 33.
Very reasonable time to get married.
And we were still engaged for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I was still like, I got to take my time. Because, I don't know. I feel like... I don't know. For me, it was like divorce stuff or whatever from my childhood.
I can see that.
But, now we're in a garage full of Ducatis.
Right.
So what the fuck was I worried about?
Man, I was wasting time. I could be on my second wife by now and have more motorcycles.
Everybody's happy, and I'm in a garage full of Ducatis.
Right.
So I guess
Where did you guys meet?
We met doing comedy at a hospital.
Oh.
Yeah, like my friend was putting on
funniest settings.
It was very funny. No, it was it's not funny at all. My friend died.
Oh, shit. and no, but seriously, it was very tragic.
My friend died, and our mutual friend put together like a benefit show.
Oh, that's cool.
At a hospital.
Yeah.
And I met my wife at that show.
Oh, that's cool.
And I pursued.
Yeah.
And she ran a little bit, but then was like, no, keep pursuing. And then eventually we had sex, entered a relationship.
Sealed the deal.
A few months later. Yeah, it was all good.
Very nice.
It was nice.
Where is she from?
She's from New York.
Okay, so she's from up
She's
there.
a Long Island gal.
Ah, okay. So she was not far from home, and you were slightly farther from home.
Slightly. 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours maybe.
Train ride, but...
It was nothing.
I mean...
Here's the thing. I didn't have a car in New York, so it felt further.
It does, yeah.
But now with cars, I'm just like...
Actually, though, you think about it, because I've only been to Long Island a couple times, that it's like, quite frankly, sometimes it probably took her just as long to get home to Long Island as it could have taken you to get home back here. That everybody that I know who lives on Long Island doesn't ever leave Long Island because to get out of there takes so much work.
You got to drive through Staten Island.
Right.
And it's really like New York traffic, what we learned like in going back, like since we lived in LA and like if we're going to see your family or something, we like have to borrow a car and drive up. It's like you got to fucking, I don't know, I'm sure it's bad here with traffic, but in New York, you got to drive in at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a weird feeling of like whizzing through the fucking, Lincoln Tunnel.
Yeah.
At like 70 miles an hour with no cars in sight. Where you're like, you feel like you're in, the fucking Will Smith
I Am
movie.
Legend.
Yeah,
you're
it's
just literally what I thought of right away.
On 8th Avenue. Yeah, I mean, you just got to time it because, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah, we go up, my family lives in Connecticut, so when we go up, we'll take like 95 to Jersey Turnpike and then go over like the GW Bridge.
Yeah.
And go in that way. And no matter how we time it, there's always freaking traffic. It'll be 12 o'clock at night on like a Tuesday night. And it is backed up. And it's just like, where are all these people going at 12 o'clock at night on a Tuesday night? Apparently into the city.
Getting back from their affairs.
Just
from the ladies they're banging in New Jersey.
Yeah. Those New Jersey ladies, they're worth going over a bridge for. That's what I've heard. That's what you want. Get yourself a New Jersey girl.
Hell yeah. You know what else people should get? They should get to social media to follow our guest, Sean.
Sure, why not?
As we are now at the end of the podcast.
Oh, man, we're at the end?
Doesn't time fly?
Man, hanging out.
You're getting together with your high school buddies.
Yes, shooting the shit about Armie Hammer.
Dude, I got to stop talking about it. I haven't even... all I have is I found his website where you can reach out to him.
Oh, man, you got to reach out.
And I'm like...
You got to reach out.
I think he might do it.
Yeah.
I think you might do it.
Yeah, what does he got to lose?
I got to be like, this is what I think. This is my pitch.
Okay.
Is I'm going to be like, I don't want to fucking ask you anything about cannibalism.
No.
I don't want to talk about you're going to the Cayman Islands. I literally, like, my podcast is a chill podcast.
Yeah.
I just think it would be very funny to have, like, all the guests I've had on my podcast, which is, like, you, my brother, dipshit comics in L.A., and then Armie Hammer. And then I never mention it again.
And then go back to, like, some other dipshit comic, like, whatever. Just move. And then next week, we're going to have on my buddy Greg.
Well, here's what I've resolved to do is, like, I feel like I've talked about this for the last 10 episodes. I'm like, I think I'm getting Armie Hammer on the pod. Haven't reached out. But if I ever get him on the podcast, I will never mention it again.
Yeah. And
it will just exist. It's kind of like all I care about now is, like, shockingly canceled people. I want to just show up on the pod.
Yeah. And then never talk to them about anything that they were canceled for.
Yes.
Just treat it like they were your neighbor. They just walked in here, and then that's it. And I guarantee you some of them would probably do it.
Yeah, I could get the Menendez brothers.
I mean,
They're
what
free.
else
They're free.
Yeah, what else they doing? But
Sean, tell the people where they can support your comedy.
If you're in the DC area, I'm doing shows all the time. I think next year going to start going into more places once I get that effort back into me. But social media, Instagram, Sean is fine, I guess. SEAN. That's the only correct way to spell Sean.
Is IS.
I figured they could figure out the rest of it.
Fine. FINE.
I guess. That's my Instagram, and that's where I post everything if I'm doing something. And yeah, so follow me, check me out, come to a show.
Thanks for doing the show, man.
Hey, man, great hanging out.
Yeah, dude.
Is there any sort of sign off? That was it?
No, we have to scream the N-word in unison, and that's usually
all right, you start. I'll catch up. Ready, go.